Akhandamandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Sarvebhyo Namaha. Sarvesham Krite Swagatam. Welcome to this session. So today is the eve of Janmashtami. Tomorrow is Janmashtami, a very joyous festival in our country. So thank you all for joining today and giving me an opportunity to speak about Sri Krishna. So what is special about Krishna? To understand that, let's do a very simple thought experiment. I want you to visualize in your mind someone that you love very much in this world, someone whose love you value a lot. It could be your own mother. A mother is somebody that all of us anticipate love from and we love very much. It could be our father. It could be a grandparent, maybe a grandfather, grandmother. It could be one of our relatives like uncle, aunt, or it could be a teacher. It could be anyone whose love we look forward to because they are very genuine to us. We know that they will not cheat us. We know that they will give us their affection unconditionally. Similarly, we are also willing to give them our affection unconditionally. It is that person with whom we can be completely free, with whom we have no inhibition of any kind. So if you have visualized a person like that, then if I ask you a question, suppose someone comes to you and says, I will give you a lot of money. I will give you, let's say, 100 crore rupees. But in exchange, I will take that person away from you. That person will no longer be with you. You will be cut off from that person, but I will give you a lot of money, a huge amount of money that you will not be able to earn in your life, with which you can buy a very big house, you can buy a lot of land, you can do whatever you like. Now think over this. How much are we willing to part with that person we love in exchange for a huge amount of money? Now, I'm sure most of us, if not all of us, will say no. I don't want that money. I want this person in my life. At any cost, I will have this person. I don't want anything in exchange for this person. This is the person who is priceless to me, who is invaluable to me. Okay, so if we are able to give this answer, when a question like that is posed to us with respect to the person that we love most, then we begin to understand who God is or who Krishna is. Krishna is that person, the Shastra reveals, with whom we can have a perfectly loving relationship. Perfect love is that love which has no anticipation of return, which is completely unconditional, to whom we can give love without thinking that we should get something in return from that person. Or we know that person also gives us love without expecting anything in return from us. Okay, this is Krishna. According to the Bhagavad-gita, according to Bhagavatam, this kind of love is possible with Bhagavan in its perfect sense. Even more perfectly than we can with the person that we visualized just now. Do you follow? So this is the meaning of understanding Sri Bhagavan and hearing about him. When we hear about him, we develop this love towards him. If we hear about him from a proper source like the Bhagavatam and from a proper person who has understood the Bhagavatam, and we hear it with the proper attitude, not with a mentality to try to disprove it, but try to genuinely understand what it's trying to say, then we are able to actually go towards experiencing that love. So the Gita and the Bhagavatam in this way give us a purpose in life. So today is a very appropriate day to hear about Sri Bhagavan's janma-lila, the lila he performed to appear in this world in front of us. Okay. So the story begins with Mother Earth, Prithvi, who is burdened because a lot of adharma is happening. So at that point of time, there were very wicked kings, kings who had forsaken dharma for the sake of their own selfishness. So when Prithvi Ma was burdened like this, she goes to Brahma and she prays to him. She takes the form of a cow and goes to him and she's crying. She's crying very pitifully. She says, please do something because I am totally burdened. I don't have any peace. My population is being tormented by these wicked kings who don't have any respect for dharma, who are just doing whatever they want whimsically. So when Brahma hears this, he is able to empathize with her. So he takes all the devas like Lord Shiva, Indra, and so many other devas. They all go together to Vishnu and they offer their prayers to him. They recite the Purusha Sukta. And they recite the Purusha Sukta. And as they are doing this, Brahma goes into a trance. And in that trance, he hears a voice within himself. And this voice tells him that I will come shortly on Prithvi, on Bhumi, and I will take care. I will do what is required to re-establish Dharma. So then Brahma comes out of his trance and he speaks to the Devatas. He tells them, I just heard a message from Sri Bhagavan himself. Bhagavan told me that he will appear shortly on this earth. So now I want all of you to take birth on this Bhumi before he comes. Along with your wives, please take birth and be ready to welcome him. And when he comes, be ready to engage in his service and assist him in what he has come for. Okay, so with this, Brahma consoles Prithvi and he tells her, please go back, it will be all right soon. So she returns. Next, we go to a scene that happens on this earth. Sri Bhagavan says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuttanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samstapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. This is in the Bhagavad-gita, 4th chapter, shlokas 7 and 8. He says that whenever dharma declines, I personally appear. And this happens in every yuga. The saintly people, I protect them. I re-establish dharma and I destroy or I eliminate all the wicked people. So this is my purpose. And this is how he shows his love to us. He shows the genuinity by which he wants us to connect with him and practice dharma, experience pure happiness. So at that point of time, Mathura was ruled by a king named Shurasena. And Shurasena's son was Vasudeva. So Vasudeva had just married Devaki. Devaki is the daughter of Devaka, the king named Devaka, who is the younger brother of another king who was very powerful at that point of time by name Ugrasena. So Ugrasena's brother Devaka and Devaka's daughter is Devaki. And Devaki marries Vasudeva, who is the son of Shurasena. So at that point of time, there is a lot of joy and happiness, and Devaki and Vasudeva are coming to Vasudeva's house in a procession. So as they are coming, Kamsa, who is the son of Ugrasena, Kamsa is the son of Ugrasena, and he is the like the elder brother or a cousin brother of Devaki, elder cousin brother of Devaki. So he takes charge. He is the person responsible to ensure that the marriage ceremony even happens properly, like the brother does for a sister's marriage. So he is in charge, and he, out of affection for his sister, he takes the ropes of the chariot on which on which Vasudeva and Devaki are sitting. He personally, although he has so many other charioteers available for him, he personally drives the chariot that Vasudeva and Devaki are being carried in. So as they go forward and the procession, you know how it is, a marriage procession even today is very royally conducted in our country. So you can imagine at that time when India was much wealthier, And these are kings, these are not ordinary people. So there's a lot of joy, there's a lot of wealth, there's a lot of Aishwarya, opulence being displayed. So all of a sudden, there is a Akashavani, Pati Pragrahinam Kamsam Abhashyaha Sharirivak Asyashtwashtamo Garbho Hantayam Vahase Abudha. That Akashavani says, "Oh, you fool!" Abudha means fool. The person whom you are carrying on this chariot, her eighth child, will become your killer. Hanta bhavati. He will become your killer, oh Kamsa. What a fool you are. You are carrying the person whose child is going to kill you. Ityuktaha sa khalaf papo bhojanam kulapamsanaha bhagini hantum arabdham khadgapanis kache grihit. So moment he heard this, Kamsa immediately took out his sword, khadga, sword, and he held the hair of Devaki, his own sister. A moment before, there was so much love and affection that he was showing to his sister, but the moment he heard this voice, there was no further hesitation. He caught hold of his sister's hair, pulled out his sword, and he got ready. He got into a position to cut off her head. He got ready to kill her. So all of a sudden, the scene changed. So the people around obviously were shocked. And Vasudeva, who was sitting next to Devaki and enjoying the scene, was all of a sudden jolted out of that. And he turned to Kamsa and he realized that Kamsa is now going to do some extremely horrible act. So he stopped him. He said, Kamsa, please wait, please wait. And in the next conversation that follows, Vasudeva speaks several shlokas. This is in the Bhagavatam. And he tries to convince Kamsa not to do what he is trying to do. So Vasudeva tells him, he uses two types of niti. You see, we talk about four types of niti in our Samskriti, right? Sama, Dana, Bheda, and Danda. So out of them, two of the types, Sama and Bheda, are used in that discussion or in that conversation that Vasudeva has with Kamsa. Vasudeva tells Kamsa that, look, don't do this because after all, this girl is so young, she is your own sister. And on top of that, she has just got married. On the day of the marriage to your own sister, that to a child, she's not even a fully grown woman. So will anybody do this? If you do this, then an enormous amount of pap will come to you. It is extremely sinful. It's extreme. It's a very high level of pap to do what you are trying to do now. Don't do it because this will only mean future suffering for you. At the end of this life, you have to take another body, and the body that you get will depend on what you are doing now. And therefore, keep in mind that anything you do, you should do with a lot of thinking and a lot of care. So stop doing this, immediately stop this. He says this and he tries to pacify Kamsa. He can see that Kamsa is extremely in a state of panic after hearing that Akashvani. But even after saying all that, he realizes Kamsa's mind is not going to change. He has just been listening to Vasudeva, but he's not willing to change and he's going to go ahead with what he wants to do. So then Vasudeva thinks of another plan very quickly. So he says that, as a last resort, try to save Devaki's life, I will promise him something else. So he tells him that, please don't do this. Instead of, keep in mind that uh, what the Akashvani said was not that you will be killed, not that Devaki will kill you, but her child will kill you. And therefore, and it's not even the first child, it's the eighth child. What I will do is, you let Devaki go now. Don't kill her now. But instead, I will give you all the children that are born to her. I promise you, I'll give you all the children that are born to her. Please leave Devaki now. So thankfully, Kamsa agrees to that. So because Kamsa knows that Vasudeva never, breaks a promise. He's such a dharmic person. Kamsa knows that very well. And a dharmic person never breaks a promise made to anyone. So knowing that, Kamsa then feels comforted. He says, okay, it's enough if I kill the babies because after all, it's a baby which is going to kill me and not Devaki herself. So with this, that scene ends. Devaki's life is saved and Devaki and Vasudeva are left. And eventually, 8 sons are born to Devaki, and also one daughter is born to her over a period of time. What happens next? After some time, the first son is born to Vasudeva and Devaki, and his name is Kirtiman. So, as soon as the first son is born, uh, Vasudeva takes that baby and goes very dutifully. Although his heart is crying, in his heart he is crying that now he has to see the death of a newborn child, his own child. But nevertheless, he has made a promise and he wants to ensure that what he has promised will never be broken. And that is the commitment to dharma that he has. So he goes with that baby with a broken heart. He goes to Kamsa and hands over the baby to him. And what does Kamsa do? This is what he says. He says, Pratiyatu kumaroyam nahyasmadasti me bhayam ashtamato yuvayor gharbat mrityur me vihitakila. So he says that because he sees Vasudeva's genuineness, you see, because Vasudeva is so genuine that he has even brought that baby to him. He could have hidden that baby. He could have done anything to save that baby's life by delaying it, or he could have hidden it, or he could have told some lie. But he doesn't do all that. He actually brings the baby very honestly and gives him. And Kamsa, when he sees that, his heart melts. So he says, please take it back. Please take this baby back. I don't want to kill it because after all, it's the eighth baby which is supposed to kill me and not this one. So please take this baby back. So Vasudeva is very relieved to hear that. Tatheti sutamadaya yayau anakaduntubihi nabhyanandata tadvakyam asato vijitatmanaha. Nevertheless, he knows that this Kamsa is a man who doesn't have any control over his mind or his senses. So such a person who has no control over his mind and senses, you cannot trust him. So he's happy momentarily that the first baby has been saved, but he knows that this may not last long. So he goes back with the baby, keeping in mind that anything can happen even now. What happens after that? The great sage Narada, who is also known as the Devarishi, he visits Kamsa. So Narada visits Kamsa and Narada tells him that, look, all the devatas have taken birth on this earth. And these people are in the Yadu dynasty, in which you are also present. And they have taken birth because there is now a systematic plan being made to annihilate all the Daityas and Rakshasas. So Kamsa is a friend of all the Daityas and Rakshasas, and he does not like the Devatas. Particularly, he doesn't like Vishnu at all. So the moment Narada says this and Narada goes away, Kamsa's mind goes into a panic. He goes into panic mode and immediately he says that no, no, no. I have spared Vasudeva and Devaki. He connects everything. He connects it to the Akashvani and he says that now this Vishnu, he remembers that in his previous life, he was a Rakshasa, he was a demon, Asura, by name Kalanemi. And Vishnu had come and killed him when he was Kalanemi. So that memory comes back to him. And immediately he arrests everybody. He puts Vasudeva and Devaki under arrest. Even his own father, Ugrasena, he doesn't trust him. Now he doesn't trust anyone. He puts them all under arrest and he calls all the friends he has. All of them are wicked people. He calls all of them and he tells them that now look, I have just got this news that the Daityas are born to kill you people and kill me. So ensure that they don't get any power. Go and torment them. So hearing this, the Daityas also become agitated and they go around the kingdom torturing anybody who has some amount of saintliness in them. They torture the Brahmanas who are supposed to be very pure, practicing their dharma. They torture the sannyasis, the sages. Anywhere any kind of dharma is being followed, anywhere the Shastra is followed, they go and they try to create problem there. They kill them, they destroy the cows, they kill the cows, they do anything. It says, Mataram Pitaram Bhratrin Sarvamscha Suhrudas Tatha Gnanti Hyasutrupo Lubdhaha Rajanah Prayasho Bhuvi. The kings who are greedy, who are very covetous, who are wicked at heart, who have no mercy on the others, such kind of kings, they kill even their own mother, father, brother, sister, relatives. without any discrimination. They're ready for that. And Kamsa is one such king. He is ready to kill anybody for his own selfish interest. So now Vasudeva and Devaki are in jail, and the citizens of the Yadu dynasty are being tormented by the friends of Kamsa, by the friends and servants of Kamsa. And Sri Bhagavan is waiting for this to happen. So he sees this, and now he's ready to come. So as this happens, he sees that Kamsa kills the sons of Devaki one by one. The first son whom he had spared, he kills that son. 1 year later, the second son is born. Vasudeva now Vasudeva doesn't have to take that son to Kamsa, because the news comes to him the moment the child is born. The guards in the prison in which Kamsa and Devaki are kept, they come and inform him. Kamsa goes there, kills the second baby, and then the third baby, the fourth baby, the fifth one, and the sixth one. 6 babies are killed one after the other. Year after year, as these babies are born, they are immediately killed. And as they are tormenting the citizens, Sri Bhagavan, he sends his own Amsha, Anantasesha. Anantasesha is not different from Bhagavan. Bhagavan's another Rupa is Anantasesha. So Anantasesha, he comes as the seventh son of Devaki. He comes to Devaki's womb and he is present there. The moment he appears in Devaki's womb, because this is not an ordinary Jivatma like us, it is Bhagavan himself. So immediately Devaki lights up. Her appearance changes. She starts looking different and people start noticing it. People realize that something different is happening now. So even as that is happening, Sri Bhagavan, he calls his own Yoga Maya. You see, Sri Bhagavan is full of different types of Shakti. His own Antaranga Shakti is called Lakshmi. Lakshmi Ma is his own Shakti. She resides inside him. And she's the one who has this form as Radha. Radha and Lakshmi are not different from each other. And they are called as Antaranga Shakti. And like that, he also has a Shakti called as Bahiranga Shakti. And this Shakti is responsible for the activities that happen in this universe in which we live. Right? This is called the Brahmanda. So in this samsara, Brahmanda, she comes and she arranges for different types of activities. She keeps the Jivatmas under her control. When Sri Bhagavan himself appears, she also appears to assist him in different types of seva. So she now is called by Bhagavan. Sri Bhagavan summons Yogamaya. Okay, Yogamaya is also called as Durga. So Yogamaya, he tells her, now what you should do, you should transfer that Anantasesha who is in the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini. Rohini is also a wife of Vasudeva only. She, among the 16 wives that Vasudeva had, Devaki and Rohini are two of them. So Bhagavan instructs Yogamaya in this manner, and immediately Yogamaya follows this instruction. She goes to she comes to Bhumi, she goes invisibly to Devaki's womb, and she pulls Anantasesha out of there. Okay, she drags him out of the womb of Devaki and she transfers him to the womb of Rohini. So suddenly, Devaki is no longer carrying a baby in her womb, and Rohini is now carrying a baby in her womb. And immediately when this happens, people, they don't know that this transfer has happened, but they can see that Devaki is now no longer carrying a child. So they conclude that unfortunately there has been a miscarriage. She has had a miscarriage and that baby has died. That's what they conclude. So this news also goes to Kamsa, and anyway, for him the job was to kill the baby if it is born, and so it doesn't make a difference. It just saves him one job, one task is saved for him. So now Sri Bhagavan is ready to appear. Now that Anantasesha has been transferred to the womb of Rohini, and Devaki's womb is empty. Now he is ready to appear. So how does he make his appearance? Now here we should understand that when Sri Bhagavan appears here, uh, in many of his Avirbhav or manifestations, he does not appear like the way that an ordinary child takes birth. You see, the children, or you can say not only of human beings, for all living beings, especially the mammals and so many other species also, there is a contact between the male and the female. There's a union between the male and the female, and something goes from the body of the male to the body of the female. and then the female becomes pregnant, and then a child is born. But that is not necessarily the way that Sri Bhagavan appears. And Sri Bhagavan appears by his will when he wants to. So, how does Sri Bhagavan appear when he came as Krishna? That is narrated in the Bhagavatam, that he appears first in the mind of Vasudeva, because Vasudeva and Devaki both are Shuddha Bhaktas of Bhagavan. All the time, their mind is on him. And now, Sri Bhagavan voluntarily he descends into the mind of Vasudeva, and Vasudeva's mind is now fully absorbed. He is in samadhi on Bhagavan. He is meditating on Bhagavan's form. And his mind, when he has this form, his whole body is glowing with fire. Just like fire glows, his body is glowing, his face is radiant because Bhagavan is sitting inside it. Now, when this happens, shortly thereafter, he transfers through his mind that same Bhagavan to the mind of Devaki. And from Devaki's mind, Sri Bhagavan transfers himself to the womb of Devaki. And through this process, from Vasudeva's mind to Devaki's mind, and from Devaki's mind to Devaki's womb, through this process, he takes his birth, or he makes his appearance in Devaki's womb. So he appears in Devaki's womb, and again, because again Bhagavan has appeared in her womb, now it's the eighth child, right? Seventh child was what others thought was a miscarriage. It was Anantasesha. Eighth child, Sri Bhagavan has appeared now. And when that happens, that cannot be concealed from anyone. Because now Devaki appears more beautiful than she has ever appeared. Her whole body is radiating light. Her whole appearance has changed. Her face has changed. Everything looks different about her. She's looking so divine that nobody can, help not noticing her. Nobody can help noticing her. She's so noticeable that the news spreads and Kamsa comes to see her. And the moment Kamsa sees her, he also understands that now Vishnu has come. Because all the time, that was the anxiety that he was living with, that the eighth child will come and kill me. And he knew that as he is killing each child, he is getting closer and closer to that eighth child. So now the eighth child has come in her womb, and he can see the difference in Devaki. She never looked like this before. And he realizes that Vishnu, who is going to kill me, has now come in her womb. But although that could have been an opportunity for him to kill her, he does not kill her. He realizes that if he kills her now, everybody in the kingdom knows this, and it would make him a villain in their eyes. He would immediately. Already, people are saying that he has imprisoned his own sister, but now if he kills her when she is carrying a child, it would make him lose all the reputation he has in the eyes of the public, and that would not be an appropriate thing to do at all. He would not be better off by doing it. Instead, he thinks, let the child be born, and the moment it is born, I will kill it, like he did with the earlier children. So he spares her, he goes back, but now that he knows that she is carrying her eighth child, he thinks of that eighth child all the time. He is very much conscious of the previous birth in which Vishnu fought with him and killed him. And now, all the time, when he is eating, when he is drinking, when he is sleeping, when he is waking up, when he is sitting, when he is standing, when he is moving, whatever he does, he is only thinking of Vishnu. You see, this is something that the great yogis want to do. The great yogis are doing dhyan, they do, yama, niyama, pranayama, asana, so many things they do, but their goal is to think of Vishnu, and that is so difficult. It's not so easy. It's not easy to think of Vishnu all the time. It's not easy to bring your mind on Vishnu all the time because the mind is so restless. Okay, in the Gita also, Arjuna says that, and Sri Bhagavan acknowledges it. It's so difficult to control the mind, but now Kamsa doesn't have to control his mind. Something else is controlling him, and his mind is only thinking of Bhagavan all the time. So it is said that the Bhagavatam describes as the days progressed, the earth, which was now going to see the appearance of Sri Bhagavan, became ready to welcome him. And just like, on this planet, if a great personality is coming, what do? We make the place ready for that person to come, right? We make it beautiful. We lay the roads. If the roads have potholes in them, we remove that. We cover up the walls with something good looking. We repaint the building. if the president of our country, if the president of a visiting country is going to come to our place, what would we do? So we would do all that. So exactly like that, Prithvi Ma, she prepares herself, and everywhere on the earth and in the skies, there is a change which is visible. The clouds look more beautiful than ever. The forests become fully decorated with flowers. The clouds no longer make very nasty sounds. They are very gently rumbling all the time. So everyone is gearing up. The birds are chirping happily. The saintly people, their minds are naturally feeling more happy. They may not even realize why they are feeling happier, but they are feeling happier. Everywhere there is a very positive, there is a lot of positivity. There's so much positive vibration in the air. And it's now the eighth day of the of the month of Bhadrapada. Okay, that is actually tomorrow for us in this year. And it's the night of that day, Ashtami, the night of Ashtami, and Rohini Nakshatra is shining, and that will be the position tomorrow at the same time. The Rohini Nakshatra will be active, and it will be Ashtami also. And it's the time of Nishita. It's called Nishita Kal, the midnight time. And this is what happens. Uh, Tato Jaganmangalamachyutamsham Samahitam Shurasutena Devi Dadhara Sarvatmakam Atmabhutam Kashthayatanandakaram Manastaha. So this Devaki, she had been carrying the person that she was carrying is actually the person inside whom the entire universe is resting. The person inside whom the entire universe is resting, that person is now resting inside her. So she is such a person, and that person appeared on the eastern horizon, just like the moon appeared on the eastern. The moon appears, the full moon appears on the eastern horizon. She carried that person, and that person now appeared from her womb. Sa Devaki Sarva Jagan Nivasa Bhuta Nitaram Nareje Bhojendra Gehe Agnishikhe Varuddhaha Saraswati Jnana Kale Yatha Sati. So all this while it's described, although she was carrying such a personality, she could not display the full beauty of that personality, because it was just like a flame that is kept inside, because she was inside the prison uh, of Kamsa. Bhojendra Gehe means inside the prison or the house of Kamsa. And because of that, just like a lamp placed inside a pot, you cannot see its full glow. Or the knowledge, if pure knowledge is present inside the mind of a wicked person, then the effect of that full knowledge is not realized. So, just like that, the effect of that personality's full effect, Bhagavan Vishnu's full influence could not be felt, because she was inside her and she was inside the prison. But now निशीथे तम उद्भूते जायमाने जनार्दने देवक्यां देवरूपिण्यां विष्णुः सर्वगुणाश्रयः आविरासीद् यथा प्राच्यां दिशीन्दुरिव पुष्कलः. At this stroke of midnight, shortly after midnight, when Tamoguna was at its peak, this person by name Janardana, who is actually sitting in the hearts of all the saintly people, he appeared just like the full moon rises from the eastern direction in its full in all its aspects. So such a person appeared, and when Vasudeva saw this, because Devaki was lying, so Vasudeva saw this first, right? He came out of her womb and he appeared outside. Again, it's not like the way a normal baby comes out of his mother's body, but he manifests himself. Shri Bhagavan manifests himself at his own will. And all of a sudden, he saw this small baby lying in front of him. And what did the baby look like? Tam adbhutam balakam ambuje kshanam chaturbhujam shanka gadadhyudayudham Srivatsalakshmam Galashobhikaustubham Pitambaram Sandrapayodasaubhagam. So he saw this form of this child, this baby. It was adbhutam, it was absolutely fascinating, it was wondrous. It was having eyes like lotus, fully bloomed, widely open, like a widely open, beautiful lotus. It had four hands, and those hands were holding Shankha, Chakra, Gada, and Padma, which we all know. And on its chest, there was the mark of Srivatsa. Srivatsa refers to the mark on Vishnu's chest, which is like hair, three or few strands of golden colored hair. Srivatsa Lakshmam, Galashobhi Kaustubam. On his neck, there was this beautiful Kaustuba, a jewel called Kaustubamani. Pitambaram, his clothes were yellowish. And Sandra Payoda Saubhagam, his body was beautiful, like a dark rain cloud, which is dense, a dense, dark rain cloud of the monsoon. In the monsoon, especially if you go to Kerala, if you go to South India, the west coast of India, where the southwest monsoon comes, you will see dense, dark rain clouds coming in the monsoon season, which is currently going on. Of course, they cause a lot of havoc too, but when they come, they look beautiful. And when the lightning strikes them, the color that's produced, it's an exotic kind of color, and this baby seemed to have that kind of color. So Vasudeva saw the baby in this form. Maharha Vaidurya Kirita Kundala Tvisha Parishwakta Sahasra Kuntalam Uddama Kanchangada Kankanadibihi Virochyamanam Vasudeva Aikshata. Vasudeva Aikshata means Vasudeva saw. Maharha Vaidurya means a priceless Vaidurya money was on top of his crown. His crown had this priceless Vaidurya money, and the reflection from that Vaidurya mani and the shark-like earrings. He had kundala, means the earrings. Along with that Vaidurya mani, there was brilliant earrings. And the light which was coming from them, that light was reflected on the thousands of strands of hair. He had very beautiful hair. And this light coming from the Vaidurya mani and the earrings, the kundala, was reflected on that hair. So he saw that. And his arms, Uddama Kanchangada Kankanadibihi, his upper arm had this large bracelet, a beautiful bracelet, and his lower arm had bangles. And these bangles and bracelets were making his body look very beautiful. They were shining on his body, and they were looking very beautiful on his body. So Vasudeva saw this kind of a baby, right? Normally, no baby appears like that, but this baby looked like that. Okay, and none of the six babies that he had seen earlier had anything looking like this. They were all looking like normal human babies. So this baby looked like this, and he was watching this in great wonder. That's what these two shlokas are telling us. So seeing this, Vasudeva obviously understood immediately that now Bhagavan Vishnu himself has appeared as my son. So imagine how happy he would be. So in that happiness, he makes a vow immediately in his mind that as soon as I get the opportunity, I will donate 10,000 cows to all the Brahmanas. Okay, that's a normal practice in our Samskriti to donate something when some happy moment happens, and donating a cow is considered the greatest of all donations. So shortly after this, Vasudeva, calms himself down. His mind is in a state of extreme exhilaration, jubilation. He's so jubilant, but he calms himself down and he offers prayers because he realizes that the person in front of me is not a baby like a normal human baby, and it is Bhagavan himself who is, of whom I am a baby. I am a child of that Bhagavan, and he has appeared here. So he bows down to the feet of that baby and he offers his prayers. And his prayers, if we read them in the Bhagavatam, they are very philosophical. They describe how Sri Bhagavan is the origin of this entire universe, and all the energies which run this universe, this samsara, they come from Sri Bhagavan. And he describes that, and he praises Bhagavan as the origin of everything. And he tells him that, my only anxiety is that there is a person waiting outside to kill you. Otherwise, I'm so happy that you have come. This happiness I can't describe, but I'm also anxious that this Kamsa is now coming to kill you, and I don't know what to do about it. I'm so helpless. He expresses this helplessness, and by the time Devaki also is now in the picture, and she also has understood what has happened, and she offers her prayers. She is now repeating. She repeats partly what Vasudeva says, and then she requests Bhagavan that please give me your shelter. Please, I take your refuge completely. Please give me your protection. I don't have anybody to protect me other than you. please protect us, please protect all of us against this Kamsa. Please do something by which this Kamsa will not be able to touch you. So she says all this, and then both of them become very silent. They are standing there with folded arms. And then that baby speaks. And Bhagavan speaks, and he says that I've come here because you prayed to me. He reminds them of a birth that they had two births earlier. So, two births before, Vasudeva and Devaki, they were known as Sutapa and Prishni. Vasudeva was Sutapa and Devaki was Prishni. And this was in the Manvantara known as the Swayambhuva Manvantara. Okay, the current Manvantara in which is going on now is called the Vaivaswata Manvantara. And this is the seventh Manvantara in the day of Brahma, in the current day of Brahma. So in the current day of Brahma, the first Manvantara is called the Swayambhuva Manvantara. And in that Manvantara, Vasudeva and Devaki had appeared as Sutapa and Prishni. Okay, so they were very pious personalities. They were very pious people. They were very devoted to dharma, and they were also tapasvis. They would do a lot of tapasya. They would do a lot of penance, and they would meditate on Vishnu because they wanted to be very devoted to dharma. They didn't want to do anything incorrect, inappropriate, wrong, and they wanted to please him all the time. So they were very detached, living a very austere life, living sometimes only on, leaves, sometimes only on air, that kind of life, and doing whatever they could to ensure that dharma is not violated. So in that janma, Sri Bhagavan appears to them as Vishnu, and he tells them that I am very pleased with you. I'm so happy with all the tapasya that you have done, and you please ask me for anything. I'll be willing to give it to you. I'll give you anything you ask for. So they respond to him and they say that, oh Bhagavan, we don't want anything in this world except one thing, that we want you, or we want someone like you. We want someone like you to be our son. We want a son who is just like you. We want a son who is just like you. So Shri Bhagavan says, Tathastu, you will get that. And he goes away. But the moment he goes, he disappears from there, he starts thinking about it. How can I fulfill their promise? And then he realizes that whom can he send as their son who is just like him? And when he thinks like that, he realizes that there is no one like him. There is no one equivalent to him. Natas samaschabhya dikascha drishyate. Veda says this. There is no one equal to Bhagavan. So if there is no one equal to Bhagavan, then how can even Bhagavan fulfill a promise where he has said, I will give you a son just like me? So the only way that the promise can be fulfilled is by himself appearing as their son. And now there is an interpretation here which says that if you have promised something to someone and you are not able to give that thing, what you have promised, but you have to give a substitute because what you have promised is not available, then you must give that substitute threefold. If you had given what you actually promised, then you can just give that one thing. But if you are not able to give that one thing and you have to give a substitute because that one thing is not available to be given, then you have to give 3 times that quantity. So the interpretation says that that is the reason why Bhagavan, because he could not give anybody else who was just like him, he himself had to appear, and he therefore appeared 3 times. So he appears 3 times as their son. In the first birth, he appears as the son of Prishni and Sutapa. As Prishni's son, he appears. And in that avatar, he is known as Prishni Garbha. So there is one avatar of Vishnu known as Prishni Garbha. So then in the second birth, he appears as the son of Kashyapa. Vasudeva is Kashyapa in his previous birth, and Devaki is Aditi. Kashyapa and Aditi. Kashyapa is one of the Prajapatis. So Kashyapa and Aditi are two very famous personalities. They are two great saintly personalities in this universe. And he appears as their son Vamana, as Vamana. So that is the second birth. And now Sri Bhagavan tells them, I have appeared to you the third time. The third time they are Vasudeva and Devaki, and he has appeared as Sri Krishna. So he reminds them of their two earlier births. And he says that now I appeared in this form. I could have appeared like the form of ordinary human baby, but I didn't appear like that to you now. I appeared in my original form itself. because I wanted to remind you of those two earlier births. Only then you will remember. So he says this much and he stops. So the whole place now becomes silent. Vasudeva and Devaki are in complete happiness. They're experiencing the joy of seeing that baby. Now Sri Bhagavan, having spoken all this, he becomes completely silent. And the next instant, he changes to the form of a normal human baby. All those forearms, all the ornaments, the crown, everything goes away, and he becomes like a normal human baby. And the room becomes very quiet. The only thing that is still present in that room is that glow that's coming from the body of Bhagavan. That room is glowing with that body, that effulgence, that radiance coming from his body is still lighting up the whole room despite the darkness of the midnight. So now the time has come when Vasudeva and Devaki have to decide what to do next. At that moment, in Vasudeva's mind, an idea suddenly comes, and this Sri Bhagavan plants in his mind. He realizes that what he has to do now is to take this baby to Gurukula, and he will find another baby there which he has to bring back. So he picks up the baby, he holds the baby close to himself, and he walks towards the door. He wonders, how am I going to open this? I have to do this, but how will I tell the guards? How will I convince them to open this? But he realizes that as he's nearing the door, he doesn't have to convince anybody to open anything. The doors automatically are open. The locks and chains have fallen apart. So he just pushes the door opens. He looks at the guards. They are fast asleep, as if somebody has put them to sleep. He walks down the corridor. All the people he sees who are normally standing there guarding the place, everybody has fallen asleep. So he just walks out of that prison house. He climbs down the steps, he walks along the road. Everywhere it's dark, it is silent. There is a very mild rain falling. There is a gentle rumbling of the clouds. It's pitch dark at night. So suddenly he notices that somebody is walking along with him. And he sees that it is nothing other than a huge snake. Anantasesha is walking behind him, and he's acting as an umbrella. He's covering the head of Vasudeva and the baby also, which Vasudeva is holding. Both are now protected from that rain. So Vasudeva realizes that this is not an ordinary phenomenon that's happening. So he walks and walks, and he reaches the bank of Yamuna, because Yamuna has to be crossed if Gokula has to be reached. To Mathura and Gokula are on the opposite sides of the Yamuna even today. So he goes to the bank of Yamuna, and what does he see? Yamuna is in spate. That's the monsoon time. Now today, less like today, now the monsoon is going on in India, right? Everywhere, all over India, rains are falling. In Jamshedpur here, we didn't have much rain earlier, but now here also it's raining very well. So it's monsoon time in Mathura and Yamuna is in spate. So he thinks for a moment, how am I going to cross this river? And just at that time, it is said, the Bhagavatam says, the river made way for him. Yamuna stops. Yamuna makes way for him, and suddenly a path opens up from Mathura to Gokula. So the Bhagavatam says this was just like how when Sri Ram he wanted to go to Lanka, the ocean Samudra, the Samudra cooperated with him and allowed him to build that bridge, right? So in the same way, Yamuna opens up and he walks across Yamuna. He walks across Yamuna with the baby, and very comfortably he reaches Gokula. He reaches Gokula again. He sees the same scene there. Everywhere it's pitch dark. It's very silent. He goes straight to the house of Nanda Baba. So Nanda is actually like his own younger brother, and Nanda and he are very intimately close to each other. So he goes to his house, and again, as he enters the house, he sees that everybody in the house is fast asleep. So from within himself, he has the direction. He knows what to do. So he goes straight to the room of Nanda's wife, Yashoda, and he sees that next to Yashoda, there is a girl, a small baby girl is sleeping there who has just taken birth. So he places this baby boy next to Yashoda, picks up that baby girl, turns back, and takes the same path that he came by, reaches back to the prison, and places that baby, that girl baby, next to Devaki. And he sits down, and the moment he sits down, Immediately, all the lock, the chains, they fall back in place. They fall back in place. So Vasudeva sits and relaxes. He has gone for a long walk and he has just come back. He sits and he relaxes. The moment he's relaxing, the girl baby starts crying. The girl baby starts crying like any baby does when it takes birth, right? Now, that boy baby which was born to him, Bhagavan had not cried, not made any noise. It had just spoken. That baby had just spoken to them and everything went peacefully. But now the girl baby is wailing loudly like any baby does. So the moment the girl baby wails, the guards, they wake up from their sleep. Their sleep is over, they wake up and they know now that the baby is born, so they run from there. They run from that place to inform Kamsa, and they go to Kamsa's bedroom because they have been told that when the baby is born, normally they wouldn't go to his bedroom, but now this is a special moment for him. So they go there and they inform him Devaki's eighth child has been born. So Kamsa, all these days, as we know, was only waiting for that, right? So what happens next? So Kamsa was waiting for this moment, and like we just said, all the time he was thinking of Vishnu. Even when he was sleeping, his mind was thinking of when will Vishnu appear and when will I have to fight with him. So now the news has come that the eighth baby has come. So Kamsa, it is said, when he heard that news from the guards, he did not get down from his bed. He jumped out of it. Okay, he had a shock. So normally we come out of our bed in a very peaceful manner, but Kamsa did not do that. He was shocked into coming, jumping out of his bed. He jumps out of his bed. He jumps out of his bed and he rushes to the room where Devaki is sleeping. And as he is rushing, his mind is in total confusion. He is panicking. He doesn't know what will happen next. So he's panicking, so he stumbles and he falls over himself. Many times he falls down, he picks himself up. Again he falls, he picks himself up. He's falling, picking himself up. He's walking, he's crawling. His movement is not steady at all, and the guards are watching it. And even as he's watching, even as they are watching, they realize that his clothes are in a complete disarray. He's lying on the bed. He's jumped out of the bed in which he was sleeping. His hair has not been combed. His hair is unruly. Everything is, scattered. In that scattered, disheveled state, he's falling over himself and reaching, and he goes to the room where Devaki and Vasudeva are keeping. He goes inside, and he sees this girl child next to Devaki. And the moment he enters there, Devaki picks up that child and holds that child close to her bosom. And she tells Kamsa very pitifully, she pleads with him. She says that, look, dear brother, you are my elder brother, I am your younger sister, and you have killed six of my children before. And this is my seventh one. The seventh one anyway had a miscarriage. Now this one, the eighth one. Please spare this child. It's a girl child. It's not even a boy child. Please spare. What will it do? It can't do anything to you. I will ensure. So she pleads with him, and she's crying. She's begging him, but Kamsa is in no mood to listen. He wants to ensure that that child is killed immediately because all the time he has been waiting for only for that moment. So he pushes Devaki aside. He grabs that child with his hand. He picks it up. He's about to hit the child. At that time, the child escapes from his hand. It escapes from his hand and it goes up in the air and it suddenly takes a different form. It now has a form with eight hands. It no longer has two hands. It has an eight-handed form. And in that form, in those eight hands, it's holding eight different weapons. In one hand, it's holding a sword, in one hand, a spear, a trident, a shield, a wheel, like a Sudarshan Chakra, and like this, eight different weapons in eight hands. And it looks at Kamsa with a lot of anger and it speaks to Kamsa. It says, Kimmaya hataya manda jata khalu tavanta krita yatra kvava पूर्वशत्रुर्मा माहिंसी कृपणान् व्यथा किं मया हतया मंद जातः खलु तवान्तकृत यत्र क्व वा पूर्वशत्रुः माहिंसी कृपणान् व्यथा. She says that Devi that he is seeing now, it is none other than Durga, Yogamaya, Durga. She has now appeared. So she speaks to him. She says, "Oh fool, what do you think you will get by killing me? Who do you think you are? What will you achieve? Don't waste your efforts in killing innocent babies. The person who has to kill you has already taken birth elsewhere in this kingdom. He is not here. She says this and she vanishes from there. So Kamsa is now in a state of shock. One moment he thought he was going to kill that baby, and the next moment that baby goes in the air and it has spoken this to him. And he hears those words and he's trying to comprehend them. So as he digests those words, he realizes that what he wanted to achieve, to kill Vishnu the moment Vishnu appears, has not been achieved. He has killed all the babies earlier, but now the baby that he actually wanted to kill is somewhere else. So he doesn't know what to do. His mind is panicking. So immediately the first thing he does is he leaves Vasudeva and Devaki out of that prison. He decides to free them. He says there is no point in keeping them here, and maybe by keeping them here longer, I will only get more pap, and that will only get me into more trouble. So he frees Vasudeva and Devaki from the prison, and they are now free. They go back, and he goes back to his palace. He cannot sleep that whole night. He's thinking about what happened. He's trying to comprehend and digest what just happened to him. So the next morning, immediately he calls all his ministers and his friends and his close confidants. He calls them and he narrates to them whatever happened. He tells them this is what happened last night. And the baby who is going to kill me, it seems, is somewhere else. So they also take some time to comprehend what happened. And then they tell him, they advise him, look, Kamsa, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. We are there for you. We are with you all the time. Nothing will happen to you. Who is this Vishnu and who are all these devatas? We can easily take care of all of them. Now, we have a simple plan. What we will do, we will just kill all the babies that have been born in this land, in our kingdom, in the last 10 days, and maybe even a little before that, maybe in the last 1 month. Any small child we see, we will kill that child. Simple. And then we can ensure that Vishnu is no more, and all the devatas also, they will become very powerless, because the devatas, they all get their strength only from Vishnu. We know that very well, right? And where does Vishnu reside, and where does Vishnu get his strength from? Wherever Sanatana Dharma is practiced, right? Wherever Sanatana Dharma is practiced, the Vedas are recited, where yajna is performed, Vishnu eats all that. All the offerings of the yajnas go to Vishnu. And so he gets his strength from those places. So we have a simple plan. Let us stop all this. Wherever yajna is happening, we will put an end to it. Wherever there are cows which give milk and which produce the ghee required for performing the yajna, we will kill all those cows. It's simple, isn't it? So we will do all that. So to give him a simple strategy, and they say, don't worry, this can be easily handled. We have handled more difficult things before. So Kamsa immediately gets strength from that, and he immediately instructs them. He says, wonderful idea, so please do this. So he then he calls even more powerful accomplices that he has. He has special people, just like today. Sometimes we hear that politicians, they have gundas. They use gundas to get things done by them. So similarly, Kamsa, he has his own gundas, asuras, who have certain types of powers, mystic powers. So these gundas of Kamsa, okay, like Putana, you can say Gundi, or if there is such a word, or Bakasura, Aghasura, Trinavarta, all these asuras which are in the hands of Kamsa, he calls all of them and says, now your job is like this. He explains the strategy to them. You have to do this. So in the days that follow, systematically the citizens of that land, Mathura and the surrounding regions, they undergo an enormous amount of torment, especially the saintly people, the people who are performing the yajnas, the people who are worshipping Vishnu. They are systematically either tortured or killed. Their yajnas are stopped, their cows are killed, uh, and one by one, the babies are killed in the kingdom. Everywhere the babies are killed, and the search is for that baby, which is the incarnation of Vishnu, which is supposed to kill Kamsa. So it is said that this behavior was actually an indicator of how these people, Kamsa and his accomplices, were killing themselves. This was nothing other than they killing themselves. Why? Because this shloka explains that. This shloka in the Bhagavatam, this is the last shloka of the fourth chapter of the Dashama Skanda of Bhagavatam. It says, Ayushriyam Yasho Dharmam Lokan Ashisha Evacha Hanti Shreyamsi Sarvani Pumso Mahadatikramaha. A person who offends a saintly person, okay, anyone who offends a saintly person in any manner, what is that person effectively accomplishing or achieving? The diminishing of his own lifespan. His own lifespan diminishes. His wealth or opulences diminish. His reputation, yashaha, reputation or fame, diminishes. His dharma, means all the punya that he has accrued, goes away. All the blessings he has got from the other people, those are lost. Anything that is good for him, which he has accumulated by all the good things he has done, if he has done any good things, all that is lost by offending people, by offending saintly people. So essentially, Kamsa and all the accomplices of Kamsa now were doing this to themselves. By killing all the saintly people, by torturing saintly people, they were only accomplishing this much for themselves. They were harming themselves. This is what the Bhagavatam says, and it tells us that how we should conduct ourselves. It's not possible to harm the saintly people in the long run. It's only possible to harm ourselves. When we break ourselves, when we hit ourselves against a big wall, it's not the wall that gets hurt, it's we who get hurt, right? So that's an important lesson. And reflecting on this from the shlokas in the Bhagavad-gita. The Bhagavad-gita also explains, Sri Bhagavan explains about his own appearance. He says, Ajo api sanna avyayatma. This is from the fourth chapter. Ajo api sanna avyayatma bhutanam ishvaro api sanna prakritim swam adhisthaya sambhavami atma mayaya. He says, when I decide to appear, I am actually unborn, ajaha. I don't have any birth. I am eternally existing. But I appear whenever I want to through the strength of my own yoga maya. I appear through the strength of my own yoga maya. And in my own nature, prakritim swamadhisthaya, with my own nature I appear, not a material nature, right? Even though I'm actually the master of all the living beings, I appear like a living being, like an ordinary living being. But he says, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vetti tatvatah Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti so Arjuna. Oh Arjuna, please realize that my birth and my activities, they are not like ordinary material activities. They are divya, means they are divine. The word divya in Sanskrit translates to divine in English. They are divine. And if a person knows this, if a person acknowledges and realizes this, then after leaving this body, he will not take another material body. He will also get a divine birth. Avajananti mam moodaha manushim tanumashritam param bhavamajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. This is from the ninth chapter of Bhagavad-gita, the 11th shloka. Shri Bhagavan says that the foolish people, now he is referring to people like Kamsa, the foolish people, Mudaha, they look at me like an ordinary human being. They think that because I look like a human being, they I'm an ordinary human being, and they do my avagya. Avagya means offense or insult. They insult me from their perspective. They insult me, thinking me to be an ordinary human being, not knowing my superior nature, my nature that is beyond this material existence. Naham prakashah sarvasya yogamaya samavritah mudhoyam nabhijanati loko mamajam avyayam. He says, I am not visible to everybody, or I am not manifest to everybody because I am covered by my own yoga maya. To most people, I appear like an ordinary human being. That is why the mudha, the foolish person, he doesn't know this. He doesn't acknowledge that I am divine. He doesn't know my divine nature, uh, and therefore he insults me. And I'm not manifest to everybody. My yoga maya is covering me. And then he says in the 8th chapter, Ananya chetas satatam yomam smarati nityashah tasyaham sulabhav partha nityayuktasya yoginaha. You see what Kamsa was doing, thinking of Vishnu all the time. So he doesn't want us to think of Vishnu like that or think of him like that. He says, in bhakti, in love. Okay, we began this session by talking about how the pure love that we value so much, the pure love that is priceless to us, is best present in Bhagavan. And that is the way to approach him. We approach Bhagavan understanding that he is the person who can give us that pure love, that priceless, invaluable love, and he's most genuine. With that mentality, we approach him and we bring him into our life. So, Ananya Chetaha, become a person who thinks of me all the time, who thinks of me exclusively. Satatam Yomam Smarati Nityashaha. On a daily basis, he's always engaged in my smaran, always thinking about me. So for such a person, aham sulabha, I am so easy. I'll easily be available to such a person. Such a person easily has availability or accessibility to Bhagavan. Bhagavan appears to such a person. Nitya yuktasya yogina. So this, in this manner, the Bhagavad Gita gives us a sense of clear purpose in life. The highest purpose in life. Okay, we all have, so many aims and goals in life. He doesn't say give them up. He's not asking us, for example, now many of us are doing PhD, or some of us who have already completed our PhD, we are probably having other plans like, getting a promotion in our careers, building a big house, having a larger family than we have currently. So many aims and goals we have in life, and Sri Bhagavan never says give up those goals and aims. He only says think about me as you go about doing this and make me a part of your life. Why does he want us to do that? Is it because he feels any shortcoming because we don't think about him? No, it's because we have a shortcoming and he feels that compassion, that we miss that love, that pure love that we are entitled to achieve. So, out of compassion, he says this, not because he wants something from us. It's because we need something from him. We have that need. He doesn't have a need from us. So he says this. And so if we are able to do this, if we are able to achieve this, then that is a perfection of purpose. So the highest of all purposes, which encompasses all the other purposes that we have, is to have Sri Bhagavan in our life and make him the highest goal of our life. So the Bhagavatam says this, and I will stop with this shloka. This is in the 10th chapter. Parikshit says this to Shukamuni just before Shukamuni narrates this Krishna Leela. Nivrittatarshaihi upagiyamaanaat bhavaushadaat shrotra manobhiramaat ka uttamashloka gunanuvadat puman virajyeta vina pashugnaat. He says, Parikshit says, who will be there in this, among human beings? Who among human beings, apart from a person who is very hard-hearted, apart from a hard-hearted person who likes to kill animals? Okay, Pashugnaha. Pashugnaha means a killer of animals. Who among human beings, other than a person who likes to kill animals, will not want to hear the sweet narratives of Bhagavan? The sweet narratives of Bhagavan, who is also known as Uttama Shloka. Bhagavan is also called Uttama Shloka. Who will not want to hear the sweet narratives of Uttama Shloka, which describe all his great qualities, his sweet and exalted qualities? Who among them will not like to hear? Because these kind of narratives are heard by people who are free from all hankering, people who have given up all desire to enjoy this world, who are tapasvis. Even they want to hear these narratives, not just people like us, but even these great tapasvis who have realized Brahma, who have got the highest realization in spirituality. Even they want to hear these sweet narratives. And they themselves recite these narratives. They not only want to hear, but they also recite them through their own mouths. And these narratives are so valuable because they destroy, they are the medicine for this samsara. The samsara is a place of suffering. There is janma, mrityu, jara, vyadi. The samsara is a place of suffering. And so these narratives of Bhagavan, they destroy that suffering and they give so much relief. Shrotra manobhiramaha. It's so pleasing to hear, so nice to hear. When we hear about Krishna Leela, we hear about Rama and we hear Rama's Leela, how Sri Ram, he gave up the kingdom when his father, had to fulfill a promise to his mother, one of his own mothers. His father had to fulfill a promise And despite so many people saying, no, no, you don't have to go, we will figure out some other way to fulfill that promise, Rama said, no, I have to fulfill my father's promise. I am his eldest son. I have a responsibility. He goes to the forest, lives an extremely austere life. He is offered to come back. Bharata comes. He says no. He goes through so much difficulty. His wife is kidnapped. He takes the help of Vanaras. He has to take the help of Vanaras to bring her back. He goes through all that, comes back. And when we hear these Leelas of Bhagavan, it is so inspiring. Those qualities, they inspire so much in us. Okay, they are not just like, the kind of general inspiration we get about, you must work hard, you must make a lot of money. If you work hard, you will succeed. This kind of general inspiration we hear so much in our own management literature, which we are reading all the time. But the kind of inspiration we get from Bhagavatam and Gita, there is nothing in comparison to that, right? So we have the ability, and we should do that. So with these thoughts, I will stop for today. I will just chant this last shloka once more, and then I will end. निवृत्ततर्षैर् उपगीयमानात् भवौषधात् श्रोत्रमनोभिरामात् क उत्तमश्लोकगुणानुवादात् पुमान् विरज्येत विना पशुघ्नात्. Dhanyavadaha. I hope that this Janmashtami will be very joyful for you tomorrow with your family and your friends. And I hope that you will continue to think about Sri Bhagavan and look for every opportunity you get to hear about him, relish about him, and make your life happy and joyful throughout. So I will stop with this. I think it's 8 o'clock now and it's time to close. I will do the Antya Mangalam. And when I do the Antya Mangalam, I'll also chant the Hare Krishna mantra. I'll chant it 3 times, and I request you all to join in when I am chanting that mantra. ॐ स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महीं महिषाः को ब्राह्मणेभ्यो शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे. Thank you for a wonderful evening. धन्यवाद.